right, thank you all for tuning in to WJT 98.3 FM, your voice of music, your station. My name is Jeff Badu, and I'm a parallel entrepreneur and a wealth multiplier. I'm the founder and CEO of Badu Enterprises LLC, which is a multinational conglomerate in the finance industry. And today we're basically going to talk about how to set your business up for success. Just give you a few steps that you can take. A lot of people ask the question, well, how do I start a successful business? How do I launch my business? How do I go about making sure everything is set up correctly? So essentially, what I'll be doing is giving you a segment and sharing some examples of what I've been through, sharing examples of what others that I know have been through when it comes to this topic. So basically, the goal here is to really focus on how to successfully start that business and make sure that your business is set up for success. All right, so that's ultimately what we'll be going through today. But before that, let's kick it off with the market report. This report is as of last Friday, August 21st, 2020. So tech stocks ultimately rallied last Monday, and S&P 500 once again spent some of the day above its record high, only to tail off by the end of trading. The NASDAQ jumped 1.0% and thrust higher by a surge in mega tech stocks. The Dow fell 0.3%, S&P 500 gained 0.3%, the Russell 2000 climbed 0.5%, and then ultimately the global Dow inched ahead 0.1%. Industrials fell, pulled lower by falling airline, aerospace, and defensive stocks, or defense stocks. Energy shares also dropped despite a bump higher in crude oil prices. The dollar and treasury yields declined by the close of trading last Monday. So basically, the S&P 500 did end its Monday winning streak, unfortunately, just by a little bit. I mean, you're talking about, 0.3%, which is crazy. But hey, the stock market is doing pretty good so far this year. We started off good, then we got very rocky with COVID-19 when it first became declared as a pandemic, and now we're quote unquote normal in the market, at least. Definitely not normal in the world, but at least from a stock market, or just a general market standpoint, we're quote unquote normal. The market was another mixed bag of results last Tuesday, as the NASDAQ, S&P 500, and the global Dow posted modest gains, while the Dow and the Russell 2000 lost value. Treasury yields, crude oil, and the dollar fell, but gold prices rebounded to close the day higher. Mega stocks and technology led the advance, while cyclical stocks dropped. A strong housing starts report drove the S&P 500 to a record high earlier in the day, but the index ultimately fell back as investors sold to capture gains. Of course, that's what investors do. Only the small caps of the Russell 2000 finished last Wednesday ahead, and the remaining benchmark indexes essentially fell. The Dow fell by 0.3%, the S&P 500 dropped by 0.4%, and then the NASDAQ tumbled 0.6%. The dollar and the treasury yields rose, while crude oil prices sank. Despite a spike in weekly jobless claims, stocks rebounded. So jobless claims did go up, but stocks did rebound last Thursday. Market sectors faring well included technology and communications, while financials, materials, industrials, and energy ultimately fell. The Dow rose 0.2%, S&P 500 climbed 0.3%, the NASDAQ surged 1.1% up to a new record. So the tech stocks are still going up every single week, and they're hitting record highs every single week. Russell 2000 and the global Dow fell 0.5% and 0.8% respectively. And then treasury yields, crude oil prices, and the dollar all lost value. So basically Thursday we did have a spike in weekly jobless claims. More and more people are filing for unemployment. Of course, unemployment hasn't quote unquote been fully extended yet. It expired at the end of July, and we still need our stimulus package to be approved, and unfortunately that has not been approved yet. So unemployment is basically at a standstill, although millions of Americans are out of work right now. It's crazy. Last Friday saw tech stocks soar, pushing the NASDAQ to a record high. So they set another record on Friday. The Dow and S&P 500 also advanced, gaining 0.7% and 0.3%, respectively. The Russell 2000 fell for the second consecutive day, dropping 0.8%. Crude oil prices and treasury yields fell while the dollar rose. So last Friday wasn't terribly bad. It was actually pretty good, at least for the S&P 500. For the week, the NASDAQ advanced 2.7%, followed by the S&P 500, which gained 0.7%. After reaching a record high last Tuesday, the S&P 500 recorded the fastest recovery from a bear market in history. The fastest recovery from a bear market in history, as determined by Barron's and Dow Jones market data. For the week, tech stocks and communication shares performed well, while energy and financials underperformed. Crude oil prices ended last week, went up from $42.18 per barrel to $42.29 per barrel. Price of COMEX gold went down. So price of COMEX gold went down from $19.54.10 to $19.46.20. So far this year, the Dow Jones is down 2.13%. The NASDAQ is up 26.07%. Huge gains. S&P 500 is up 5.15%. Russell 2000 is down 6.95%. The global Dow is down 6.85%. And then the federal funds rate is still at 0%, so interest rates are still at 0%. 10-year treasuries are 0.64%. Pretty terrible. A few things to note this week. Today, the stock market went up, by the way. S&P 500 actually went up about 1% today. So the stock market is doing really, really good so far this year, believe it or not. I mean, everybody's panicking. COVID-19 is here and all the crazy stuff going on in the world. But the markets are still doing pretty good. Back in March and April, it was very ugly. It was very, very shaky. Nobody knew what was going to happen. But, I mean, ultimately, we've been resilient when it comes to this stuff. So let's talk about this week. The last week of the month brings with it some important economic reports. The second estimate of gross domestic product, or GDP, for the second quarter is available this week. According to the advanced estimate, the economy slumped at a rate of nearly 33% in the second quarter. July's report on personal income and outlays should show that consumer spending, or consumer income, increased last month, as did the cost of consumer goods and services. While inflation is inching upward, it is still well below 2%. So inflation is actually lower than it has been over the past few years. So there you have it. That's the market. For those that are afraid to invest in the market, understand that the market always goes up. What goes down must go back up. And then what comes down goes down, or what comes up goes down, but temporarily though, eventually it will make its way right back up. So it is a bit of a roller coaster ride, but there's more ups than there are downs. Just as life, if you think about it. In your life, or in a person's typical life, there's usually more ups than there are downs. It's the same thing with the stock market. Bad things do happen, which affects the market. And then sometimes you get good things that ultimately happen. So that's a few things to note. Ultimately, you don't necessarily have to sell. Like, the worst thing you can do in a stock market is pull or sell when stocks are low. You don't sell low and buy high. You buy low and you sell. Basically, you buy low and you sell high. That's the same theory. I learned that from a man named Warren Buffett. It's buy low, sell high. It's not the other way around. It's not the opposite. So that's a little bit to note when it comes to that. So now let's talk about the five. Basically, the way that this segment is constructed is we'll be talking about some step-by-step guide that you can take in order to truly launch or start that successful business. So I'll be sharing the steps, and then I'll be sharing some personal examples of some things that I went through. So let's talk about the 5 steps to successfully launching that business. Step 1 is to make sure that you establish a purpose, a profound purpose or a passion for that business. There has to be a reason for the existence of your business. You don't just start a business just to make money. You'll eventually go out of business. There has to be a passion. There has to be something that's driving you to actually start that business. If you're just starting it just to start it, or just to make a quick buck or make some money, it won't do you any service. It might last a few years, but it won't last you for the long term. Every successful business that I've seen was started because of something that happened, because of something somebody was passionate about, something that turned somebody's life around, something that can help make people's lives better. So the business should be something that you truly want to do. It shouldn't just be about money. It can't just be about money. Money is only a tool that we use to get the things we need in life. If you really sat down and looked at money and thought about it, that is all money is. When you're talking about building true wealth in a business, that is something that you love. That is something that it's a treasure to your heart. That's something that is there to be long-term sustainable. You'll come to realize that 9 out of 10 small businesses fail within the first 5 years. And then 9 out of those 10 go out to fail again the following 5 years. So it's a very, very low chance to succeed in business. And one big reason, I believe, is businesses nowadays don't get started because of some sort of passion, because of some sort of drive, that divine force that brings you to start the business. And then it also must be a scalable business. So when you have the passion, make sure it's something that it's scalable. Make sure it's something that can make you some money, although it's not about, it shouldn't just be for the money, but it should make you some money. Don't get that part ever twisted. Business should make you some money at the end of the day. It shouldn't be a hobby. It shouldn't be just a charity that you're just giving out free stuff. It's a business that we're talking here. You can have a charitable component, but we're talking about business here. So ultimately, for me, I started my full-time entrepreneurship journey back in 2016. So just to take a step back, in 2010, I was enrolled at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. I was a freshman at the U of I, and I basically was studying accounting. I ultimately got a chance to work on my business plan. I spent about an hour every single day working on my business plan. I gained a profound interest, right, a profound passion or purpose in taxes and helping people properly account for their money. So I wanted to start a tax firm because I knew taxes were something that I could do. It's something I enjoyed doing, and it's something that I could do, and it was a scalable business that I can make some money off of. So I started my business plan back in 2010. And then I also started another business plan, which is my real estate business, which is now known as Badu Investments. And we invest in multifamily real estate, primarily on the south side of Chicago. So those were the 2 business plans that I had back in 2010. The reason why I wanted to start those businesses was because I had a passion for it. Real estate, anytime I hear the words real estate, I get excited. It gets me up and going. My family's been involved in real estate for over 30 years. It's something that I'm truly passionate about. It's something that I love doing. And ultimately, it's something that we all need. Everybody needs real estate. You can't live without real estate, right? It's something that you absolutely must have. So for me, I had a passion for real estate, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to start a real estate business, a real estate company. So as I was going through the U of I college process, I was working on a business plan. 1 hour every day, I was spending time working on a business plan. I eventually tested my business plan on a few clients, and once that became successful, I ended up launching a business, and that's now known as Badu Tax Services, LLC. So that's a few things to keep in mind, is that you always want to make sure that you start a business that has a true reason for it. It has a profound purpose, a profound existence for it. So you don't just start a business just to start a business. You have to start a business for a reason. Remember, you can get away with starting a business just to make money, but you might not last too long if you're just starting it just to make some money. So that's something to keep in mind. So in 2010, the Badu Tax Services business plan was officially formed, or it was starting to be developed, as well as Badu Investments was starting to be developed. And then in 2016, I actually launched the business. Badu Tax Services was the first business to be launched. And now, since that business was started with a purpose, a passion, something that had a profound reason of its existence, now it's a tax firm that has clients in all 50 states in the U.S., in over 15 countries. We have about 32 people. We just had 2 new team members join this year, or over the past few months. We have 32 people in the firm, and we have over 2,000 clients. And we're entering this next month, actually makes it our 4-year anniversary. So we'll be entering into our 5th year starting next month. So that's something that I'm very happy to say. I mean, it brings me great joy and great pride every time I think about it. But the reason why it's a successful business is because it was started with a passion. It was started for a reason. And now what we're doing is we're actually more so teaching others how to start their own tax firm. So we've gotten to the point where our business is self-sustaining. It's running on its own. So now my job is to teach the next generation of accountants or tax preparers and make sure that they run a successful business. They do it all within the same company, the same brand, the same umbrella. And we're teaching them, they're making money, we're making money, everybody's making money. But we're ultimately building something big, something ginormous, that is set to be the top tax firm within the next 10 years or so. So remember, when you're starting a business, make sure that the first step is to make sure that it's something that not even necessarily passionate about, because passion can develop. Once there's purpose behind it, you tend to develop the passion for it. So you might not be passionate about it today at this very moment, but if there's a purpose, if there's a need for it, and you feel you can deliver that need in a great way, and you won't hate your life while you're doing it, then yeah, ultimately there should be some sort of passion there. So I was talking to a client today, he said, man, how could you be doing taxes? I mean, this stuff is for the birds. I'm like, hey, to each his own. Everybody has what they're interested in. For me, my sweet spot is taxes. That's what I'm good at. That's what I've learned. That's what I went to school for. That's what I've been taught, so that's what I do. Everybody's a master of their own trade. Everybody is a perfectionist at their own art. Same thing here. I'm actually planning to write a book on that, about being a master of your own craft, the master of your own art. Everybody is ultimately a master. So that's something to always keep in mind, is everybody's a master of what they do. We all went to school to learn something. We all went to a class. We all went through a training. Everybody is taught to do something really well. Nobody on this planet is not skilled in something. So what I encourage you is to find that thing that really, really gets you going, and you're skilled at it. You're good at it. It's scalable. You can make money off of it. And in reality, that's ultimately how to make sure that you start a successful business. So that's step 1. Establish a sense of purpose, a sense of reason behind the business. If you're just starting it just to make money, it won't be too successful. So that's step 1 right there. Step 2, once you've established that purpose, that reason, that sense of existence, then you go out and research the industry. Remember, back in college, I spent 1 hour every single day when I was a college student at the U of I. I dedicated 1 hour every single day researching my business. You don't have to put in that much time. And trust me, an hour every single day, 365 days a year, times 5 years when I was in college, that's a lot of time. That's a pretty substantial amount of time. So you don't have to do that. You certainly don't have to do that. But understand that you do have to do some research. You do have to put in some work when it comes to this. You can't just get away by not doing any research on the business. So that's something you always want to keep in mind. a few platforms you can utilize to do your research. One is IBIS World, IBIS World. Once again, IBIS World, IBIS World. It's the best research platform, hands down. There's others out there, but IBIS World I found a lot of success in. Back in 2010, when I started my business plan, I was looking at the industry report that year, telling me all about the tax preparation industry, how it was going to evolve into an online business. And guess what? In 2020, the Badu Tax Services is 100% virtual and online business. How did I know that was the way to go? Because I read it in the report. It was very blatant in the report. It stated it, that a lot of the brick and mortar is dying down. And then ultimately, technology is advancing, so we're going on a trend where taxes will be done virtually. And then guess what happened in 2020? COVID-19. What happened to all the brick and mortar accountants? Wiped out, retired, dead, unfortunately. But what happened is businesses like mine actually thrived and surged and went through the roof because we're an online business. We don't need to meet people in person. We don't need to have physical documents. We can do everything remote, everything online, and that's how we've thrived in 2020. We thought 2020 was going to be a great year. 2020 is an awesome year for our firm. 2020 is an awesome year for the Badu Tax Services brand. So that's something that I always want people to keep in mind, is that you don't necessarily have to. You don't have to be down in a time like COVID-19. You can be up as well. You can make some good out of this whole COVID-19 pandemic. So IBIS World is one platform that you can utilize. As you can see, it paid off huge dividends when I just read the report. Literally, I spent some time and actually read the report. You'll be surprised how many people don't read the reports. I'm like, hey, they asked me a question and I'm looking at the report and I'm seeing it in there. And I asked them the question, did you read the report? Well, I skimmed through it and I'm like, that's not good enough. This is your business. This is your baby. This is your prized possession. Why are you skimming through something that is going to basically be here for a long time, for the rest of your life and for your kids' life? Why are you skimming through? This is not the time to skim through. This is the time to actually read, to take notes, to take this stuff seriously. I read through every single page of the IBIS report. It was only 10 pages. I mean, it's not like a 100-page report. They do have the more detailed version, which you can feel free to read. But the summary is good enough. And then I also did Google search. I actually learned how to do taxes, like the mechanics of taxes, on YouTube. It wasn't the classroom that taught me how to do taxes. The classroom perfected my tax preparation skills and tax planning skills. But I actually learned how to do taxes and started, because as a freshman in college, you're not taking accounting courses. You're taking gen eds, you're taking basic math classes. You're not taking any accounting courses. So how can I get knowledge and expertise and experience in taxes? I had to go out and do research. So I got on YouTube. I actually dedicated some time, the time that we all don't seem to have. I dedicated 1 hour every single day. There's 24 hours in a day, for crying out loud. If you can't dedicate 1 hour a day to doing something that you love doing or something that will advance you in life, you have a serious, serious problem. Big problem. Just 1 hour. That's it. The average person watches 3 hours of television a day. Why can't you dedicate just 1 out of those 3 hours and enjoy those 2 hours? Just dedicate 1 out of those 3 hours to something that you're passionate about, something that's going to help you in the future. As you can see, doing that research and spending that amount of time up front helped me get to where I am today. So with Google search, just Google about your industry, about your business, about your market. You'll be surprised what Google can get you. And then ask around. Ask around mentors, friends, colleagues, people you know have been involved in the business. Celebrities. I mean, you don't physically have to reach out to them, but look them up on YouTube. Just ask around. You'll be surprised. They say, seek and ye shall find. The same concept applies here. You will only find if you do, in fact, seek. So ask around. I mean, I have a mentor who is actually on my Facebook page. And ultimately, he was able to teach me. He was able to show me how he was able to launch his business. Most importantly, he shared with me his mistakes, and I learned from his mistakes, and I improved upon those mistakes. Now he learns from me, and some of the things that I do so that he can go ahead and apply it in his own business as well. So that's step 2, research the industry. Research. It is very important. You don't need to spend your entire day researching, but you do need to research to the point where you're comfortable enough with your industry, where you feel you know a decent amount that you can explain it to somebody else. I would say that's how much time you need to research, to the point where you don't need to look at a document or anything like that in order to tell somebody, hey, this is how much my company is projected to grow each year, or this is our expected revenue. This is the marketing. Basically, this is the target demographic that I should target in my business. So you have to be able to answer questions like that comfortably, and ultimately be able to be confident in what you're saying. Remember, clients will only trust you if you know what you're doing, or if you appear to know what you're doing. Then step 3, while I was spending that whole hour a day doing research, I was jotting things down. Doesn't make any sense when you're doing research on something but you're not writing anything down. It makes no sense whatsoever. So what you do is you formulate a formal document called a business plan, aka a Google Doc that you're starting to edit. That is all the business plan is. It's a Google Doc that has big bold titles next to it, and vision, mission, target audience. My business plan was 2 pages when I started. That was it, 2 pages. Now it's about 10. Some people have a 100-page business plan, they still haven't gotten started. My business plan was 2 pages. That was it, simple bullet point format. Now it is 10 because we've expanded our business model. We're in different markets and everything like that. But it can be simple. It can be also simple. Simplicity trumps complexity any day of the week. Some people tend to make it so complicated. I'm like, why are you overthinking this? Trust your gut. Go jump. Make the jump. If you're comfortable, or if you're starting to feel comfortable enough, go ahead and make the jump. Assuming you've done your research and assuming that you've actually done your homework. So build a business plan based on the research you do. So as you're doing your research, as you're talking to people, as you're looking at the IBISWorld report, start writing things down. That's all the business plan is. It is written down ideas put on paper. That is all a business plan is. It can be a fancy big document, and at the end it might look fancy. Nowadays we put a logo at the top of our business plan just to make it look fancy. It's still the same Word document that we started with. It's nothing too crazy. It's a Word document that we started with 2 pages. Now it's 10 pages just because we've expanded some of the things. We've added new team members. We've done a few things. That's all we've done with the business plan. So it doesn't have to be fancy. The fanciness doesn't have to be. A fancy 100-page business plan of a company that's only making $10,000 a year is far less than a company that's making over $1 million a year and maybe was jotted down on a piece of paper and didn't have a logo or anything on it. It's not necessarily about the fanciness of the plan. It's about the contents that you put into the plan. So quality is much more important than the whole quantity aspect. It's not about the number of pages. It's about the quality that you're putting into the plan. So it covers your vision, your mission, your marketing plan, a budget. At least have a 1-year budget. You should have about a 3-year budget, but at least have a 1-year budget, what you expect to make on the finances. You do have to pay attention to the finances in your business, by the way. Every business needs 3 departments. It needs a marketing department, a legal department, and a finance department. Without these 3 departments, you can't get anywhere. So and it could all be you, but I do recommend you seek out the help of experts when it comes to this stuff. So build a business plan. Doesn't have to take you that long. It is a progressive plan. In college, I was literally updating my business plan at least once a week with new ideas, with new thoughts. Every time something came to mind, I didn't let it stick with my mind. I actually put it on paper. It's very important. A business plan is ideas put on paper. It is the research that you've done and you actually put it on paper. So that's something you do want to keep in mind when it comes to that. Number 4 is test the market. So as we were building the business plan, as we were doing the research, we actually went ahead and tested the market. I started doing taxes back in 2010. A few friends and family, a few business owners that I knew that went to college. I said, hey, I'll do your taxes. I said, I'll do them for free, as a matter of fact. To the point where I'll pay for the software. I'll pay for everything that it takes to do the taxes. Just let me do it. Give me the documents that I need and give me a chance. I was literally begging people to do their taxes. Not as if I was on my knees begging or anything like that, but I was literally to the point where I was like, hey, can I do your taxes? I'll do them for free for you. So that's how, I mean, you don't have to go to that extent, but you do have to test it. You do have to test your business plan. Warren Buffett once said, before you make an investment, dip your toes in the water a little bit. See the temperature, see the depth of the water, see whether or not you can handle that temperature, and then, and only then, if you feel comfortable, should you jump into the water with both feet. Never jump into water with both feet when you haven't tested the temperature. Why would you jump into a pool and not having tested the temperature? Not having tested the depth of the waters, if there's a shark in the water, God forbid. So why would you do that? It's the same thing in business. Why would you launch your business without testing the business on a few people? So what did I do? I started doing taxes for people for free, seeing whether or not the business plan would actually work on a few patients or a few clients. I didn't go all in. The only reason why I left PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, in 2016 was because I knew that I had a proven model. All I needed was more time, more people, and more energy in that business. That's all I needed, because I had already tested that model on patients, on clients. I just needed more time. I just needed more clients. How do I get more clients? I have to dedicate more time to my business. I cannot be working 40 to 50 or 60 hours a week doing taxes on the side. I cannot give my business attention, the attention it deserves and it needs, if I'm also working full-time. Not saying quit your full-time job today. What I'm saying, though, is while working your full-time job, at least work on your business, test it on a few people, and then once you feel comfortable, once you're like, you know what, all I need is more time, boom, make the jump. That's the part where a lot of people go wrong, is they never make that jump. Or they might, when they make the jump, it might be too late. They don't get as fulfilled. Maybe kids start coming in. They might have already been married. So for me, I decided to go in early. I started my business at the age of 24. Literally, right after my 24th birthday in September. Right after Labor Day weekend. I was fed up with PwC, and I decided to turn in my 2-week notice. I believe it was the Tuesday after Labor Day weekend. I said I was fed up on September 2nd, 2020, turning my 2-week notice. And on September 2nd, 2016, I turned in my 2-week notice. On September 16th, 2016, I left PricewaterhouseCoopers and became a full-time entrepreneur. It was the best decision that I've ever made in life. It's brought a lot of fulfillment in my world, and I truly, truly don't look back on it at all. I mean, I would never go back to that life that I was living. Very miserable, and just did not enjoy what it was that I was doing. I get emails all the time, phone calls all the time with people saying the same thing. They're not enjoying, they're not getting fulfillment in life and what it is that they're doing. So for me, I knew I had to make the change, and I knew that I couldn't be doing things the same way that I used to do it. I knew that I ultimately had to do things a better way, a smarter way. So test the market. So test on a few clients until you get comfortable. You get into that comfort zone. And don't quit your full-time job without testing the market. I know a lot of people who just quit, and they never tested it. They never even had a business plan to begin with. They just had this idea in their mind. They never put it on paper. They never put numbers behind the paper. And so what happens is they quit, they get frustrated, and they go back to square one. As opposed to maybe spending some time on your precious baby, actually doing some research, actually putting together a business plan, and then actually testing it on a few clients. But last but not least, launch the business. Make the jump. Put your business plan into action. It means nothing if you have ideas written down on paper and you don't actually put it to action. It means absolutely nothing You have done yourself a huge disservice to yourself and society by not launching your business. Maybe it wasn't the right time, which is fine. Maybe you need another year because of COVID-19. Maybe your licenses were being delayed because of the COVID-19 pandemic, which is fine. It's okay to delay it, but to not launch it at all doesn't do a whole lot of justice. And I've come across a lot of people who've been in this scenario before, where they have a fabulous, fantastic business plan. Next thing you know, they don't launch it because of the simple fact that, they just got stagnant. They got too busy. Life caught up to them. Unfortunately, somebody passed away in the family, so they had to spend some money on the funeral. And this is why I tell people, make the jump when you feel, when your gut, you have to trust your gut. When your gut tells you jump. Your gut is right about 95% of the time. So when your gut tells you to do something, then do it. Not saying jump out the window or jump in front of a car or anything like that just because your gut is telling you to. You do have to make smart decisions after all. But when your gut tells you something that you feel is right, then go ahead and do it. Just go ahead and do it. Go ahead and make the jump and go ahead and do something that fulfills your life. Because we only get one life. We go to the graves on our own. Nobody joins us in our graves, so we have to build our own legacy. So if you are spending your life right now building a legacy for somebody else as opposed to yourself, then that's a problem. There's no fulfillment in that. You're just punching the clock. You literally have chains on your ankles, even though you might not know it. It might not feel like it. You might not have physical chains, but you have a mental chain that is just holding you back from what it is that you truly want to do in life. So my advice to people is make the jump ultimately. At some point, you do ultimately have to make the jump. You can't just sit on the sidelines forever. So that is something that you do have to ultimately make sure of. So that's the segment. There's 5 steps to making sure that you set your business up for success. First step, make sure it's something that has a purpose behind it, something that's tied to your passion or your purpose, and that you're good at it, it's scalable. Second is making sure you do research on the industry. Then third, you put together the business plan, nothing too fancy. Remember, simplicity trumps complexity any day of the week, especially in my world. I keep things very simple. We still work out of a home office to this day. We're running a multi-million-dollar business, starting or running it from a home office. It's crazy. It's unheard of. Back in the day, you couldn't necessarily do that. And some people nowadays, they think, oh yeah, just because our company is quote-unquote made it, let's go downtown and let's go rent some office. Now you see what's happening in downtown offices. They're getting looted. They're getting empty. That's just not my style. My style is just keeping things more, more in a private environment where I can do work, where I can still talk to clients via Zoom or whatever it is, but keep it simple. Ultimately, keep it very simple. Keep it straight, keep it sweet, and keep it to the point. So ultimately, you do have to build or put together the business plan, and then you test the business plan on a few patients, few clients before you quit your full-time job. It's very important. Test it on a few people, and then once you've experienced that comfort, or once your business plan says, you know what, all I have to do is just turn it up a notch, then you quit your full-time job or stop doing whatever it is you're doing, and then launch that business. That will do you a lot of justice. So those are the 5 steps. Hopefully you guys gain some knowledge and some wisdom out of that. If you ever have any questions or anything like that, please feel free to let me know. I'd be more than happy to help you out. My phone number is 773-679-7198. Once again, 773-679-7198. You can check out the website, jeffbadu.com, jeffbadu.com. Once again, jeffbadu.com. There's a lot of resources on there, a lot of articles, a lot of blogs, a lot of vlogs, a lot of scholarships. There's a lot of things on there that you can feel free to check out. You can also purchase the books, 7 Figures, How to Become a Millionaire. And then you can also purchase the book, The Legendary Asset, 6 reasons why you should own real estate. So that's really it for the segment. Thank you guys for definitely tuning in. You can also email me, by the way, jeffbadu@gmail.com. Be more than happy to answer any questions, anything that you have. Please be sure to check out the website, though. Check out the recording of this. We have it available on Facebook, Instagram, also on the website as well. We do post it on a YouTube channel. So with that being said, music, your station. My name is Jeff Badu, and I look forward to continuously delivering you all some content. Thank you.